Sorry, my mic was muted. So let me start that over. Let me back that up. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September the 27th, 2022. And we are going to be discussing this lady right here. This lady right here, who is Mrs. or Miss Stacy Abrams. Grace and peace, Dunamis. Grace and peace. Yeah, I had to unmute my mic real quick. Yeah, this story came in over the weekend. As you can see, the date is Friday, right? And I actually was reading this article when I was on the way home. Friday, I was on a plane, and I wanted to cover this weekend, but didn't really have time, so I said, forget it. I'll cover it Monday. Plus, it kind of let some other articles and stuff kind of come out, some new information to be produced over the weekend. So just in case if I have to add to what's being said or whatever new information is being released over the weekend, I can go ahead and add that in this morning. Brother Keem, what is going on? What is going on? All right. We're gonna be talking about Stacey Abrams. Now, if you guys don't know who she is the lady who is trying to run for governor in Georgia. Okay. Yeah, she says, phew, it's early. Yeah, and I know that you guys are used to me doing this at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's because whenever I'm in another time zone, I always start at 7:30, but but since I'm in the Eastern Standard Time zone right now, um, it's 7:30 basically within the same time zone. So it's 7:30 for all of us. So therefore, like when I'm in Texas or whenever I'm in the Midwest or something like that, a little further out, you guys are an hour ahead. But I always start at 7:30 anyway, because that kind of gives me time enough to get ready to do this, do some other things to get my day started. So yeah, it is a little, yeah, it's a little early, I know, for some of you folks right here on the East Coast. Marshall Johnson, he says, good morning. I don't even live in Georgia, and I don't like her. If I did, I won't vote for her at all. Yeah, and you know what's so crazy was that I was in Kansas City about a week ago, and I was talking to this guy, and he was just like, hey, you're from Georgia, and, you guys got Stacey Abrams running for governor. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not excited. He was like, yeah, but I love Stacey Abrams. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this article, man. As you guys can see the title, right? Stacey Abrams says that fetal heartbeats at 6 weeks are manufactured. So, ladies, if you are 6 weeks pregnant and when you go to the doctor and they put the ultrasound on your stomach and you're able to hear the baby's heartbeat, just remember that is manufactured according to Stacey Abrams. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. But let's see why she says that. On Wednesday, Stacey Abrams, who is currently running as the Democratic candidate for Georgia governor, said that fetal heartbeats at 6 weeks are manufactured sounds used so men can take control of women's bodies. So men make up the heartbeat whenever you go and get an ultrasound. Remember, men make those heartbeats up so they can take control of women's bodies. All right. I know. I know, brother. But we're going to get through this because I actually got a couple of articles to read because I think this one here is not that long, but I got a couple of more that's also not that long as well. So let me go ahead and try to get through this. Abrams, who is running against incumbent Republican Governor Brian Kemp, made the remarks during an event at the Ray Charles Performing Arts Center in Atlanta on Wednesday. The irony in that, she's at the Ray Charles Performance Center. We all know that Ray Charles was blind. I think that she's even more blind. She's more blind than Ray Charles. Quote, there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks, Abrams told the audience. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body. End quote. According to Fox News, Abrams' comments seem to take a shot at Georgia's 6 week abortion ban, which was passed after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June. The legislation titled the Living Infants Fairness and Equality Life Act prohibits abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected. Fetal heartbeats can be found as early as 6 weeks of pregnancy. Exceptions to the law are made for rape and incest, provided a police report is filed. It also allows women to seek abortions later in pregnancy in the case of a medical emergency, such as a mother's life being at risk or the fetus being rendered unviable due to a severe medical condition. While the law was initially passed in 2019, a federal judge ruled it unconstitutional and blocked it. However, a federal appeals court overturned the lower court's ruling, allowing the law to officially take effect on July 20, 2022. Abrams considered herself pro life until the first pursued public office at 30 years old. That's ironic. You were pro life until you decided to run for office. Yeah, I guess politics it doesn't play a factor at all when it comes to her uh, idea of protecting life. So life is important until you run for political office. You can be pro life until you're a Democrat running for office. All right. During an appearance on The View last week, Abrams was asked whether she would support limitation on abortion access. In response, the gubernatorial candidate contended that a woman should be able to terminate her pregnancy up to the point of birth if her life or health are at risk. That's a lie. That's a lie. Um, People like her don't care whether or not you can terminate a birth up to the point of birth, because we've already seen people talk about that, especially in New York and what is the other place, Virginia, New York. They was trying to push to have abortions while the lady is crowning. They say that you should be able to perform an abortion if a woman is in labor, getting ready to have a baby, that you should be able to terminate that birth right then and there. Virginia, on the other hand, went more extreme. I think Virginia said that they wanted to terminate the life of a born baby after 3 days of that baby being born. So that is wicked. That is wickedness. I don't care what anybody says. If you have those type of thoughts or ideologies about terminating a human life, I don't care what stage, you are a wicked person. And let's just address the big elephant in the room. That's the reason why I titled the video the way that I titled the video, because yes, this is an issue across all nationalities, all races, of women. But this particularly affects the black community. And why do I say that? Because we all know black people, we gonna run to the polls and we gonna vote for somebody just because they're black and Democrat. There's a lot of black people who gonna run behind her and vote for her just because she's black, she's a woman, and she's a Democrat. I done had conversations with black people who ran to the polls 4 years ago to go vote for her over Brian Kemp simply because she was black. And I'm just like, You can't at some times, especially, and I'm talking about black Christians. I ain't just talking about black people. I'm talking about people who claim to be Christians and they're black. They claim that they follow Christ, they hold to the Bible as authoritative, but when it comes to politics, that blackness gonna come first. And they'll use some of these talking points, such as, well, people just don't want to see a black woman holding a higher type of office in this country, and that proves white supremacy and racism, which is total nonsense. And you know that that's what people are going to say. Just like when they talked about, oh, the election was stolen from her because she's a black woman. No, the lady is clearly demented. She has mental issues. And people are not going to put their, sane people are not going to put their faith and trust in a person who has to say that before she even made this statement Friday or Thursday or sometime last week, that from the time that they even invented the ultrasound machine to hear a baby's heartbeat, from that point up until last week, all of those heartbeats were manufactured. So she, with her higher knowledge, had to come and explain to us, give us the high knowledge that, oh, all of those heartbeats were manufactured. All of them. Now they did an ultrasound on my wife for all three of our kids. All three of my kids, I've heard their heartbeat when they were in the womb, right? And somehow, I don't know how it happened, but they were born. Although somebody made up those heartbeats, the kids were still born, you know. But I don't know. I mean, it's just mind boggling. It's just mind boggling. Yes, yes, Tammy. Yes, I was just about to get into that. This is a perfect example of a person who has been given over. When we read Romans 1 and we start at verse 18 and we read down, this is exactly who the Bible is talking about. When Paul is writing to the Romans, this is what totally being given over looks like. Because when you when you totally reject God, you have to accept absurdity. This is what total depravity looks like. Actually, I think total depravity looks worse than this, but this is an example of it. Mighty Man Quiver says, yes, our community puts their black skin and Democratic Party before anything, before truth and right and wrong. It is sad. Yeah, and that's what's killing our community. Y'all want to talk about black issues? That's what's killing our community right there. Right there. It's not only just killing our community, it's killing the world. But if you want to see a prime example on how to kill the human race, just look at the black community and look at the way that we view politics, of how we're so ready to get behind somebody just because we share the same skin color. People can say whatever they want. You can get a woman like Stacy Abrams to get out here and she can actually say this boldly. This isn't like she said this behind closed doors or she had a one-on-one conversation. This was a private text. This lady got up in front of people while campaigning to be governor of Georgia. She got up in front of people and said this publicly. Yeah, honestly, speaker says, nah, no mental issues, just believing in a demonic anti-Imago Dei spirit behind it. Same one behind every anti-Imago Dei spirit. Yes, correct. And just for the record, being anti-Imago Dei, like my sister honestly speaking says, is being anti-God. You're being anti-God. If you're anti-Imago Dei, which is anti-human, anti being against a person made in the image of God, then you're anti-God, straight up. All right, I do got a couple of more short. Let me see. Let me stop this. I do got a couple more short articles that I do want to read that actually came out in response to this madness that Stacey Abrams was purported last week. And this is actually from the Christian Post. I think this came out like Saturday. Yep, Saturday, September the 24th. So that article that I just read came out Friday. That was what was released Friday. Let's check this one out from Saturday from the Christian Post. It says doctors refute Stacey Abrams' claim there is no such thing as a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks. So this is kind of a response. Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams is being accused of spreading, quote, misinformation as she stated this week that the unborn do not have a heartbeat at 6 weeks gestation, despite evidence from medical journalists. And the thing is that I don't even know at this point why evidence have to be given to even refute this lady. This is the world that we living in, to where we actually have to address these things, to where a sane thinking person should know better. But this is when people have been given over to God, when people totally reject God, these things become these things become topics that we got to address. During an event at the Ray Charles Performing Arts Center in Atlanta, Abrams asserted that, quote, there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks, end quote, adding that she believed that the sound of a fetal heartbeat at the stage is manufactured to convince people that men have a right to control women's bodies. Abrams' comments were a response into Georgia's heartbeat bill, also known as the Living Infants Fairness and Equality Act. She claimed the legislation shouldn't be called a, quote, fetal heartbeat bill because, quote, that's medically false, a biologically a lie, end quote. The bill bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat becomes detectable, but it includes exceptions for rape, incest, or if the mother's life is in danger or the fetus is unviable. The law was passed in 2019, but a federal judge ruled it unconstitutional after the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade in June, returning authority over abortion to the states. Federal appeals court overturned the lower court ruling on July 20th, allowing the law to go into effect. Dr. Donna Harrison, CEO of the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, an organization that boasts over 7,000 pro-life doctors, disagree with Abrams. In a Friday statement to the Christian Post, Harrison stated that Abrams's claims are an example of, quote, misinformation that ignores evidence from, quote, basic embryology. So basically, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or a doctor in order to know that this is just basic information. It's just like that one lady, I can't remember who it was, where they asked her who was the woman, the lady who was the black lady for the Supreme Court, who was but they was trying to add to the Supreme Court justice or something like that, and they asked her what is a woman, and she says that I'm not a doctor. Foolishness. And yet again, it has to come from our community. But George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry, I'm trolling this morning. Let me be quiet and just read this. Quote, in fact, at 6 weeks gestation, the embryonic heart rhythmically contracts to pump blood through its arteries, which flows to the placenta to exchange carbon dioxide for oxygen, end quote, she wrote. Quote, to call this anything other than a beating heart is dishonest and serves only to dehumanize preborn people. Playing semantics with the definition of a heart does nothing to serve science or the public, but rather only advances pro-abortion agenda, end quote. I couldn't have said it better myself. Tara Sander Lee, the director of life sciences at the pro-life Charlotte Loisier Institute, who studied heart development at Harvard Medical School, said in a statement that the human heart starts beating 22 days after fertilization. Quote, a baby's heart actively beating at 6 weeks gestation and will have already beat nearly 16 million times by 15 weeks, said Lee. In fact, at 6 weeks, when Stacy Abrams says a heartbeat doesn't exist, the baby's heart is actually beating about 110 beats per minute, end quote. Lee cited peer-reviewed research, okay, peer-reviewed research published by the Charlotte Loisier Institute and a 2019 study published in the National Library of Medicine titled, quote, The Transitional Heart from Early Embryonic and Fetal Development to Neonatal Life, end quote. Another study published in October 19 by the Department of Radiology at the University of Massachusetts Medical School also affirmed that cardiac activity begins as early as 6 weeks gestation. In addition, the absence, of a detectable heartbeat is a sign of pregnancy failure, according to the medical study. So, if there's no heartbeat, that's pregnancy failure, right? That's when you know that a life has ended, is when you don't detect a heartbeat, which is what these folks are trying to do. They're trying to stop the heartbeat. So again, it has nothing to do with quote unquote women's rights. You're trying to control a woman's right to choose. Yes, Ketanji Brown. Yes, ma'am. That's who that was. Ketanji Brown. All right, let's continue. Quote, most American parents have seen their baby's beating heart during prenatal ultrasound and discussed it with their obstetrician, she continued. The mainstream media can perform Olympic level semantics, gymnastics all they want, but most Americans instinctively understand that a developing human organ which beats rhythmically and pumps blood throughout the body is, in fact, a heart, end quote. As the National Review reported Friday, up until recently, Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, stated on its website that a quote very basic beating heart and circulatory system developed end quote during the 5th to 6th week of pregnancy. Now the website states that at 5 to 6 weeks, a part of the embryo starts to show cardiac activity, end quote. So I wonder why the Planned Parenthood has had to switch up their wording. Quote, it sounds like a heartbeat on an ultrasound, but it's not a fully formed heart. It's the earliest stage of a heart developing, end quote, the website states. So terminate the pregnancy anyway, because it's not really a heart. It's still developing. It's still a heart that's developing. So terminate the life anyway. That's their logic. So since they can't come out and say that it's not a life like they were saying for the past 25, 30 years, since they can't just keep using this, oh, it's just an embryo, oh, it's just a clump of cells, slowly but surely, they're finally admitting that this is human life. And it's going to get to a point to where they're just going to say one day, we don't care. They're going to come out boldly and they're going to say, we don't care. It's a human life and we want to end it. That's what they were saying back in the day under Margaret Sanger when she was trying to, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, in a way she was trying to exterminate the black population in America. But, again, I've already covered that, because that's how they started out. We know it's human life. We need to exterminate it because we need to keep these numbers low because they're going to have a negative effect on our society. Let me see. According to a Man-Month University poll conducted September 15th to 19th, Republican Governor Brian Kemp holds a slight lead over Abrams with a 49% of respondents saying that they will definitely or probably vote for him versus 45% they will definitely or probably vote for her. Same poll found that 46% of responders will definitely not vote for Abrams versus 37% who said that they will definitely not vote for Kim. And that was just some more political stuff going on. Yeah, Curio says we'll see what Jesus has to say about them. Well, has to say to them uh, about that one day. Yeah, sad. This is why we have to continue to pray for folks. We got to continue to pray for some of these people because, like I said, this is what a person, being given over to. This is what it looks like when the Bible says that the Lord just gave them over to their passions and their desires. I believe that this is the beginning stages of that. Ms. Cherry says there are plenty of women who will love to have kids but can't have them instead of abortion. How about giving up the child for adoption to them? Uh, right, the women who don't have kids. And you know what's so crazy is that these same people who make these claims that, oh, well, if these women have all of these abortions, I'm sorry, if you force these women to have all of these kids and don't allow them to have abortion, um, then who's going to take care of these kids? Who's going to help these pregnant women? But they're constantly firebombing these pregnancy resource centers. They're destroying the places that give aid to these women who are pregnant for free. For free. But why would you want to target these pregnancy resource centers that's providing aid to these women who are pregnant? Why are you trying to make it harder for people to adopt if your argument was the reason why we need to have abortion because nobody wants to take care of these children, but you want to try to restrict the people who's actually giving aid to help these women? I got one more article that I'm going to read, and this is, hopefully this will kind of lighten you guys' spirits, kind of end this segment on a pretty light and comical note. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Babylon Bee, but the Babylon Bee is a satirical site, and I read their stuff periodically. And this was in response to what Stacey Abrams has claimed over the past week, right? It says Stacey Abrams claims obesity is just numbers manufactured by her bathroom scale. Shots fired. Hold on. All right, hold on. I gotta read. So let me see if I can get through this. Okay, so Atlanta, Georgia, while speaking at a public uh, symposium on behalf of the Association of Donut Lovers, Georgia Governor Stacey Abrams claimed obesity was just numbers manufactured by her bathroom scale. Quote, in the same way, the patriarchy invented sonograms with fake heartbeat sounds to force women to fall in love with their unborn children against their will. Bathroom scales were also created by the patriarchy to control women's bodies, end quote, said Abrams. Quote, obesity isn't real, but a system of oppression. It's time to dismantle it, end quote. The incumbent governor's remarks are already being praised as, quote, so brave and, quote, super scientific by members of the body positivity movement who have not yet succumbed to diabetes and heart disease. Okay, these dudes are crazy. Okay, quote, as a presidential candidate for the Democratic Party, I vow to fight the lobbyists of big bathroom scales and their attempts to control our beautiful bodies, said Abrams, while inhaling a tower of strawberry sprinkled bear claws. Oh man, these guys is too much. A representative for the bathroom scale industry issued a statement that read, quote, we're so busted. Dang it. President-elect Stacey Abrams called us red-handed. We solemnly vow henceforth to do better, to hide our secretive desires to control women's bodies. End quote. At posting time, U.S. President Stacey Abrams had declared every national deep fried twink. No, she declared every day deep fried Twinkie Day. I'm telling you, man, these guys at the Babylon B are too much. Yo, when I read that last night, I was crying. I was like, man, hopefully I could have got through that. And I'm glad it was just so short. These guys at the Babylon B, I'm telling you, hey, listen, if you guys want some and I think they're a Christian based organization or Christian based website. But yeah, if you guys want to get some good laughs, man, you guys head on over to the Babylon B because they have articles like this all the time. Oh man. So yeah, it's good to have a good laugh after reading that nonsense that was said by Stacey Abrams this past week. And it's just so mind-boggling to me how people actually take her serious as a serious candidate for governor. This is a lady who is running to control what happens politically in the state of Georgia. But again, if she loses, you already know what the excuses is going to be. Voter suppression. They stole the election from her, and she's a black woman, and we're not ready to see a black woman, a single black woman, because she ain't married, she ain't got no kids. So just because she's a single black woman, nobody wanted to vote it for her. Nobody wanted to vote for her. Plus, they suppressed the vote and they stole the election from her. So you guys just get ready for those arguments. We just don't want to see a black woman in office as governor because of this white supremacist, racist system. Brother Jason says, watch Stacy at New Birth and tell me that Christian National. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know she was at New Birth, but not surprised. Not surprised. Mm-mm-mm. Oh man. All right, listen, man, I got to get up out of here. Uh, I'm already a couple of minutes over than what I anticipated, but listen, I just had to get this out. I really had to get this out and do this article this morning or these articles this morning because I just think it's just total nonsense, pure madness. And I can go on for days about this, but unfortunately, I got other things that I got to do, man. I got to do. All right, well, listen, guys. You guys let me know, man. What y'all think in the comment section? Do you actually believe, or do you even have any evidence that when a woman goes and get an ultrasound, that those sounds are manufactured in order to make women become more pro-life? Or do you happen to believe that Stacey Abrams has lost her mind? And the reason why she's lost her mind is because she totally rejects the word of God. And this is what happens when a person rejects the word of God. Whatever you guys think, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, you guys like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. So whenever I do get ready to go live, you guys will be the first ones to see it and to be there as soon as I go live or whenever I upload a video. And with that, you guys have a blessed day. Enjoy your day, and I will see you guys next time, Lord willing.